What's going on, boys? Welcome back to another Rocket League tutorial. Have you ever watched players like Joyo or Daniel hitting flip resets in RLCS and then wanted to hit those same shots in your own ranked games? Well, me too. So a few months ago, I spent a week straight practicing resets until I could somewhat get them whenever I tried. I then proceeded to go for flip resets in every game and lost a ton of MMR, but over time I corrected small mistakes and began to build up muscle memory for getting the reset. And now I would consider myself somewhat pretty consistent at getting them. So today I'm going to be covering all the steps that I took to learn how to flip reset in Rocket League in 1 week. Each step is going to be broken down into 1 day to make things easier to learn, but you can definitely speed things up if you're a fast learner. Just be sure not to overwhelm yourself by moving on too quickly. Let's get right into day 1. But before I can get into day 1, we first have to cover the training pack that I used to learn this mechanic. I'm going to leave the code on screen as we talk about it, and it will also be in the description to make it easier to copy and paste. But I liked using this shot because it has a very nice setup for reset attempts. It rolls slightly above the middle of the wall, and you start close enough to be able to shadow the ball easily. You won't always have a perfect setup in game, but this method will show you how to get the basics down. And once you get those down, that's all you need to start trying them in your own games. Learning directional air roll isn't mandatory, but it will help you in more ways than just flip resetting. I used the regular air roll for my first 3,000-ish hours of playing Rocket League, and then I spent the next 1,000 hours using directional, and I can easily say that I could never consider going back to regular air roll. There are videos out there that explain the ins and outs of directional air roll, but the short version of why it is so good is this. Using directional allows you to orient your car in whichever direction you need it to face, while also being able to continue boosting towards the area you need to fly to. This means you can adjust your car while in the air without having to sacrifice any of your momentum. If you try to twist your car around while in the air with regular air roll, you will boost in directions that you don't need to. Even if these unnecessary times are short, they will add up and make you slower than someone using directional. Being able to adjust your car in this way and maintain your momentum is huge for being able to get yourself in the position needed to obtain your reset. Being able to match the ball's speed is an essential part of flip resetting. If you're going too fast, you may end up booming the ball away from you, and if you're moving too slow, you won't pop the ball far enough from the wall. The best way to practice this is by driving with the ball up the wall and only hitting it once the ball is midway up the wall. If you're hitting the ball too early, you need to slow down slightly and try feathering your boost more. If you're hitting the ball too high up on the wall and it's hitting the ceiling, you're probably going too slow and then trying to overcompensate. Another way to practice this step is just shadowing the ball the whole way up the wall without worrying about hitting it. Breaking steps down this way is a great way to keep yourself from getting frustrated because you won't be trying to do a ton of new things all at the same time. Once you are easily shadowing the ball up the wall, we can move on to day 3. The first touch that you get on the ball while it's rolling up the wall, or the pop as I like to call it, will instantly show you what you might have to do in order to get your reset. For example, if the ball is hit far away from you, you'll know that you need to use a lot of boost to catch up to it, and then you'll probably end up having to use your flip pretty quickly since you won't have much boost to stay in the air any longer. My ideal pop is one that gains some height but doesn't get too close to the ceiling. You do want the ball to be slightly above you, that way you can boost upwards towards it and cancel some of that downwards momentum whenever you hit your belly on it. Since we know that the ball might get a little bit of height with our belly touch, we don't want it to be too close to the ceiling when we get that touch. The best way to ensure you get this type of pop is by driving slightly out from the ball as you go up the wall, and then you curve into it and aim for the side of the bottom of the ball. If you hit directly on the bottom, you'll hit the ball towards the ceiling, and if you go too far to its side, you'll end up hitting it towards midfield. Once you figure out the style of pop that you're most comfortable with, I definitely recommend trying to go for resets on other types as well. There's a very solid chance that you're not always going to get the ideal first touch off the wall while you're in game, so being able to work with any touch that you get will be insanely beneficial for you. You might have thought that once the ball is in the air, getting the reset would be the next step, and it almost is, but there's one thing that we have to go over first. Your speed as you fly towards the ball will determine how easy or hard it's going to be to use your reset after you get it. If you're supersonic the entire way to the ball, there's a good chance that that ball is not going to be anywhere near you whenever you're ready to flip into it. My speed varies depending on the situation, but for the most part I try to match the ball's speed in the air as well. Doing this will often give you a nice little pop from the ball, creating a small amount of distance that you can flip into for a very powerful shot. The softer that you hit the ball with your belly, the less the ball will move from you, so this makes low boost resetting a lot easier. Feathering boost here is also huge because it will allow you to fine-tune your speed right before you hit the ball. Once you're comfortable flying towards the ball, we can start obtaining your reset. Now we're on to arguably the hardest part of flip resetting, getting your reset. To reset your flip, you just need 4 wheels to be touching a surface at the same time. At the same time is the key part here because it is possible to get a touch on the ball that looks like all 4 wheels touched it, but if you look closely, 2 wheels touched slightly before the last 2 did, so the reset never actually happened. I was having this happen to me a lot until I started trying to figure out where exactly my belly needed to hit the ball to get a reset every time. How I explain this part might differ slightly depending on your camera settings, but I like to make a little bit lower than where I think the middle of my car's belly is where I hit the ball. Now that you know where you need to hit the ball, we can move on to how to position yourself this way. If you get my ideal pop from day 3, you'll need to boost upwards and aim for a little bit above the bottom of the ball. If you hit the direct bottom of it, you're going to hit the ball towards the ceiling, which might be what you want in some situations, but not this particular one. Once your trajectory is locked in, you'll want to make sure that your car is upside down. If you're not comfortable with flying upside down yet, I highly recommend not attempting this mechanic because you're going to be very frustrated. When you get close to the ball, all you have to do is pull down on your stick to make your car's stomach face the ball. I try to time pulling my stick down so I can just hold it down the entire time my car is hitting the ball. It almost feels like doing this kind of pushes my belly into the ball a little more. I can't confirm if this actually helps you get your reset more. Whenever I don't hold my stick down the entire time, it feels like I miss my resets a lot more often. If you try this method but you pull down too early, you're going to end up over rotating and hitting the ball with something other than your belly. If you don't like just flying upside down and prefer spinning with directional arrow like myself, you can boost towards the ball while spinning the entire time and let go of directional once you get too close to the ball and just spin using your stick. This method will require you to know exactly how to spin with directional arrow and also how to time those spins to get your belly on the ball, so it might be a little more on the complicated side of flip resetting. It does look cool though. Now that you have your reset, you're going to have to decide if you're going to be using it straight away or if you're going to be saving it for another time. The main time that I use my flip reset straight away is whenever I'm low boost and hoping to get a catapult type throw on the ball. This is done by getting underneath the ball whenever you get your reset and holding up on your joystick and spamming your jump button. The button spamming isn't necessary, but I still like doing it in case I misjudge the timing needed to use my flip the second that I get it. These throws can get an insane amount of power that your opponents won't be expecting, especially if they know that you're on low boost, so they're very good to learn. Another time that I like using my reset as soon as I get it is if I see an opponent flying towards me trying to mess my play up. Holding on to your flip won't do you any good if you have to 50-50 your opponent and the ball gets boomed away from you. The better option is using your flip to hit the ball above or below them for a pass to your team or a potential pass to yourself. But on the other side of things, if you find yourself with a lot of space and plenty of boost, you may want to hold on to that flip. I like trying to go for a small, slow air dribble and then booming the ball with my flip for sudden speed. The longer that you go without using your flip, the more your opponents will think that you missed your reset or start to panic while waiting for you to use it and mess themselves up. One thing that I struggled with when learning this mechanic was being able to follow the ball up to use my flip on it. I found out my problem was with how I was boosting after I hit my belly on the ball. If you need to rotate your car, you have to make sure that you don't boost towards the ground or in any way that moves you away from the ball. I like to spin my car by holding my joystick left or right, and then when I'm facing how I need, I can boost towards the ball for a follow-up. Going for your flip on the ball after resetting is definitely going to take some time to get down, but if you can remember to choose when you boost wisely, you'll learn it in no time. Now that you hit resets without even thinking about them in free play, it's time to learn the appropriate times to go for them in game. I would consider this mechanic a medium risk, high reward because they can be used to get the ball around opponents and also to score. They're a high risk, especially depending on which mode you're in, because if you mess up, you're going to be falling down through the air and your opponents are going to have an easy shot on your net. The more teammates you have, the less risk, since you're going to have backup if things go south. I try to limit the times that I go for resets for whenever we are up in goals unless I just see a great opportunity. The more confident that you get with resetting, the more often you'll be able to go for them even in risky situations. Another thing to keep in mind is that being able to reset will give you a solid edge because it's not a mechanic that everyone knows, so people won't expect you to be able to do it. But as soon as you do it once, they're going to be ready for it the next time, so try to use your resets a little into the game whenever a goal is really needed. And that's going to pretty much do it for this reset tutorial. We covered every part of the training that I used back when I was learning, and I really hope that it helped you guys out. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below, and I will try my best to get back to everyone. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop a like and maybe even a sub, and I will talk to you all in the next one. See you, boys.